Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a case that's, well, frankly staggering. The Jaycee Dugard abduction. 18 years undetected.
It's a tough one to wrap your head around.
Yeah. We'll be using, public info and Jaycee's own memoir, A Stolen Life, to try and understand how. How did this happen for so long?
And what does it tell us? About control, about resilience,
That's fake.
about the system itself.
Exactly. So let's start at the beginning. June 10th, 1991, South Lake Tahoe, California.
Right. Jaycee was just 11 years old, abducted near her home.
And there was a big search initially, right? It wasn't ignored.
Oh, absolutely. A huge effort. But nothing solid came from it, no credible leads. It just went cold.
Which happens, unfortunately, but it highlights maybe some of the limits back then.
For sure. And then almost 2 decades later, August 2009.
The breakthrough. And it's almost random, isn't it? Philip Garrido at UC Berkeley.
Yeah, he was there with 2 young girls, and something about their behavior just seemed off to the campus police.
Thank goodness for that officer's intuition.
Absolutely pivotal. They ran a background check. Standard procedure, maybe, but...
It flagged him. Registered sex offender. On parole.
Bingo! That changes everything. It leads straight to his parole officer needing to get involved.
And that's the moment. The meeting with the parole officer.
And Jaycee Dugard, after all that time, she reveals who she is.
Just, wow. 18 years held captive.
In this hidden area, like behind Garrido's house in Antioch. Not some remote cabin, but in a residential area.
And the 2 daughters. Born during that time. Fathered by him.
Yeah. DNA later confirmed her identity, obviously, but her courage in that moment.
Unbelievable. Let's talk about the captivity itself. We don't have like a minute-by-minute account of the psychological methods.
No, not explicitly detailed in the public sources. But the sheer length of time, 18 years, and the fact she had children with him, it points to intense, prolonged psychological control.
Right. It has to. Isolation, manipulation. Eroding her sense of reality, maybe. Her ability to even think about escape.
It seems highly likely. That kind of unseen control is probably key to why it went undetected for so long. It wasn't just physical barriers.
It makes your skin crawl, thinking about that kind of insidious power. But then you have Jaycee's resilience, revealing herself, writing her book, surviving that.
It's truly remarkable. A Stolen Life really gives insight into that, into enduring unimaginable trauma and somehow finding a way forward.
It speaks volumes about, the human spirit.
Definitely. But it also forces us to look at the other side, the potential systemic failures.
Okay, yeah. How does a registered sex offender on parole manage this for 18 years?
That's the big question, isn't it? You had the initial investigation that went cold. Okay, that can happen. But the parole system, its job is monitoring.
So were there missed check-ins, ignored signs? What went wrong with the monitoring?
We know he was being supervised, but clearly whatever supervision was happening wasn't enough to uncover this horrifying reality hidden just out of sight. It raises serious concerns about the effectiveness of the system back then.
Yeah, it really does. The initial search didn't work, and then the safety net, the parole system seems to have had holes. Big ones.
So putting it all together, the shocking abduction, the long silence, the almost accidental discovery, the immense psychological aspect.
And the strength it took to come back from that.
Right. Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, maybe, for listeners.
Okay.
If something this extreme, this 18-year captivity, could stay hidden, what other, maybe less visible forms of control or confinement might be happening around us that we just don't see?
That's unsettling.
It is. But also, what can Jaycee's story teach us? About resilience, yes, but also about needing vigilance, about supporting systems that actually protect vulnerable people effectively. Something to think about.